Welcome to Carpool Karaoke. Today I'm going to sing Donna Summer. Joking.
Is that what you sing? I'd sing Diana Ross, I'm Coming Out. I love that song.
So, I'm Holly. I fucking hate hiking. I love hiking. Get this fucking over with.
And then I thought,
I said to a friend the other day, you can't throw a stone in Brighton without hitting a shaman.
and I'm Hannah.
We're here at Tashita. This is it. This is where we are trying to get in.
Today's practice is my new personal morning routine to help me wake up, feel grounded, but also a little bit more energized. It's a variation of a pranayama technique called Nadi Shodhana.
Mouth tape.
Welcome to the awkward Car-versation. Hopefully it won't be too awkward.
We can make it really awkward.
I'm here, so it probably will be awkward.
Too, so it could be quite interesting. So, you're into India and meditation?
Yeah, I am. Well, I kind of broke up with India this year. I'd had a bit of enough of it, but meditation I love.
Okay.
I think it is, I shouldn't think anything when talking about meditation, but it's incredibly valuable, whether you have the loftier spiritual experiences that can sometimes come along with it, you know, just that, what it does to the nervous system, the circulatory system. Very powerful practice.
How did you get into it?
God. Well, I was a drug addict for many years and I'd overdosed twice in my early 20s, and I wound up in India, and I was actually in Varanasi, and I was looking for hash, and the guy that I was trying to buy hash off was like, you must see this yoga teacher, he's coming, he's not here very often. So that sort of started the journey, the yoga meditation
So you did
journey.
yoga and meditation with that instructor?
Yeah.
Wow.
And the way I've taught has predominantly been a slower style of yoga. It's more meditative, you know, not finding, but observing that mind-body connection in yourself, and I feel that's kind of easier to come to when the practice is slower.
Yeah. So like yoga nidra and yin yoga.
Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I've never.
Or you just do poses but slower. I don't really know yoga that much. So.
Sometimes the way I teach, it's mainly seated practice, you know, mainly floor based. Yeah, I occasionally would do something a bit more dynamic.
Yeah.
If I was covering somebody, but other than that, I just feel, you know, and I wonder if you had this experience in Tashita. I've done a couple of the meditation, the 10-day silent retreats of Vipassana, and both times the biggest takeaway has been that everything is in the mind. You know, you can have a lot of tension in your body, in your emotional, mental field, but doing that consistent work over the 10 days, and in Vipassana you meditate for 10 hours a day, there's so much that will release in the body just through coming to that peace of mind. So
yeah, I agree. I mean, this was my first real experience of meditation, like as like a kind of full-on experience. Like I've done bits here and there, but mostly like focusing on the breath. So I like set a timer and then I just focus on my breath.
Yeah,
which is really interesting because when I went to Tashita, that was like the first thing they do.
yeah,
like the stabilizing breath. They always do that for like 20 minutes, just focusing on the breath. And then they go into the analytical side, which I found fascinating.
yeah.
Because that was when, like, and I don't, like I said, I don't know anything about Vipassana, like what it is and the style of it, but this, you'd then go into the analytical and you just work, depending on what it was that day, you'd use different techniques to go into deeper work within yourself.
Yeah.
So like releasing different things, or like forgiving people, forgiving yourself. And that was the stuff, like you say, that then when your mind just started to ease up and like almost like let go, like let its grip go.
Yeah.
Like the rest of you just kind of chilled out a bit more.
Yeah.
But it was, I mean, I don't know, Vipassana sounds really intense, and like I felt like Tashita was kind of intense. Just my body actually hurt a bit because we weren't moving.
Yeah.
So you just sit all the time, and so in that way I didn't maybe notice the tension from it.
Yeah.
But I think afterwards, now if I'm doing like a deeper breath practice or a meditation, or like really specifically doing a somatic practice to release the body, then I notice the body-mind connection really deeply. But we would only sit for 45 minutes at a time.
Yeah.
And then like every 20 minutes you'd kind of be able to have a little break.
Yeah.
You'd like stand up if you wanted. Whereas Vipassana sounds...
It's intense. It's like the bloody, I don't know, I know I was going to make a very inappropriate joke then. It's like the gulag of meditation retreats. It's definitely a very masculine practice in terms of that straight line, very strict energy, which there's value to that sometimes. I tend to like feminine practices, more circular, soft, you know, I like to take it easy. So it's good for me to do things like Vipassana.
Yeah.
Vipassana means to see things as they truly are.
Ah, that's what it means.
Yeah.
Ah,
and it's
okay.
Gautama Buddha's practical method for enlightenment, I guess. It's not affiliated with Buddhism in any way, which it's one of the things about Vipassana which is a bit, to me, is they make a very big point of saying they're not affiliated with any practice, religion or way, while saying that they are the way. So that's always a bit distasteful to me, and also I don't like waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, but it's about sort of taking what is valuable, because that's a typical day. You go in, you give over all your possessions, pens, paper, books, technological devices, you take the noble silence, and then that's it. You're up at 4 in the morning, you meditate for 2 hours in the morning, and you have breakfast at like 6:30.
And you don't move for those whole 2 hours?
You're not supposed to, and I mean, there's a practice after 3 days. There's a practice for one of the sits in the morning, one in the afternoon, one in the evening, where you sit without moving. Obviously, no one's got a gun to your head, so you can move if you want, but that's part of the practice, is impermanence, is to observe those feelings of discomfort, whether they be in the body or the mind, and to just allow them to pass, just observe. And what's interesting, when you do have a sharpened awareness that is just honed in on that point of tension, it dissipates. And it dissolves, and again, that's another incredible part of the practice. But yeah, it's very intense. So
you did notice that, like, so I would just get really uncomfortable. I get pins and needles, but if you just kept sitting there and kind of observed it, it would eventually just go.
Yeah, it goes. And that's the so in Vipassana for 35 hours you practice Anapana meditation, that focus at the nostrils and the breath. You watch the breath, and that's almost like that practice of Anapana is a tool to sharpen your awareness. And it's focusing, and then you begin the Vipassana technique, where you scan your body in a uniform fashion, up and down, to feel your body as vibration, inseparable to everything else. And that's where you kind of go over the points of tension, you stick with it, you focus, and it just dissolves. It's really powerful, it really is. And the insight you get, I thought, consumption, we're constantly consuming, especially technological devices, there's constant input, and to have that all taken away, the creativity, what comes is just...
When I got my phone back, I didn't want it, and I just wasn't on it for days, and then obviously slowly it creeps back in, and then you're on it all the time again. But I didn't miss it. I actually loved it. It was just so good. And like you say, I journaled so much. And, they talk about the clean and clear mind, and it just started to feel that way. And then the phone, when I got it back, I was like, oh, okay, just respond to that person, put the phone down, walk away. And now it's just back in the hand again. All the time.
Klaus Schwab might as well stick a microchip in us. We're very in love with our devices, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly.
I don't know if you noticed this, but it was one thing I noticed in Vipassana after, a few days, maybe 4 days of that intense meditation. It is like somebody turns a frequency dial in reality. You know, it is like your vision is clearer. There is a clearness of mind, a presence, but then for me that kind of filters out into reality. Everything's a little bit almost like you've had some mushrooms or something, you know, and everything's sharper. And again, it's that, okay, when the mind is not constantly, there's just this different experience.
Yeah, it does feel different. Yeah, I do. I kind of resonate with that. Like when I came out of the practice and then you're just walking around India, which itself is nuts. But I just felt so different. I can't even explain it. I just felt so different. My body felt so clear. Like everything just felt really at ease.
Yeah.
You know, just from having done those practices and like having learned all this teaching.
Yeah.
And there are still elements there. Like, I mean, I haven't been meditating anywhere near as much.
Yeah.
But it's like whatever happened in those 10 days, there's still something in me that's kind of shifted and changed enough that I'm still noticing it. But I kind of go, okay, actually, like, keep meditating because you want to keep sharpening that and sharpening that. Like, once you've kind of had that taste, you're just like, wow, this is amazing, like what it actually does. But it's so easy to just go, no, I've just got to go do this. Like, it's still so easy to just push it to one side, even though you like had that change and you could feel it.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy how you still don't do it.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know, maybe you have
my
regular practice.
My discipline levels are shockingly bad. I am consistently inconsistent with everything, and I've had patches of time. Most recently, for 2 weeks, every morning and every evening, I meditated, and it's just like it just transforms your life so quickly.
Yeah.
And I think I should do this all the time. I don't, you know, and I can get up and I can make my coffee every morning. Like, no problem.
No problem at all. Yeah.
For me, I practice almost every night. I practice.
Okay.
I would like to shift that to the morning. That's one thing I would like to bring into my life, because I think that's a nice tone to set for the rest of your day.
Yeah, sure.
But I do it in the
What do you
evening.
practice in the evening?
I practice usually some postures,
Okay.
but for me, I will hold in a posture for sometimes an hour, and it's a very internal practice. It's there's a posture. It's called reclined bound angle. You lie on the back and you bring the soles of your feet together and your knees are out. And I really like that posture because you can use your body as a measuring tool. I always try to line my spine from the cervical down to the tailbone, flat to the ground. And by doing that, you can feel you can feel the alignment of your body. And for me, the physical practice is to just unblock channels to allow free flowing energy rather than being able to do anything particularly. So by doing these supine postures where you can feel the alignment of everything is really powerful.
You just keep your feet together and like knees out to the side.
Yeah, and
hold that for like an hour.
Yeah.
Wow.
Sometimes I'll then bend my knees and plant my feet, and I will work with the shoulders. But it's been so powerful. It's just, you know.
Do you do like a body scan or like a particular meditative sequence
really.
or like, because I would probably lie there and my mind would be going, oh, do you remember that? Do you remember this?
Yeah.
What about that? Like, I'm not even sure I'd be present all the time to what is happening. So how do you find that you are able to unblock those channels?
I think it's been a long time and a lot of work and lots of different avenues to be at the point now where I can, I don't want to say easily, but readily sort of sink into a state of absorption. And if I am to have a focus point of meditation, it's my central nervous system, it's the spine.
Okay.
And for me, I like Paramahansa Yogananda a lot. If I had to read a yoga book, he's a beautiful teacher from India. He's dead now, but he taught Kriya Yoga, and it's all about just unblocking the body for energy flow to be in, he would say, God contact. You know, and I understand that's a bit of a contentious word and all the rest of it, but for me that's what my practice is. It's that individual connection with whatever the
Yeah.
thing is, you know. And so that's my focus. That's what I would come to, is my spine if I need a physical marker, but if not, it's that absorption and in presence of whatever the mystery is.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just kind of imagine you're in that presence, or that you're absorbing that presence as well.
I don't know that I even imagine it. It's just I guess after years and years of practice and plant ceremony and dipping a toe into every spiritual tradition, and there's just an ease to the absorption. And of course my mind kicks in, but I mean, I can be in, I don't know, vibrational wonderland space for a good amount of time. Yeah.
I like that term.
Yeah. That's, I mean, if someone was like, oh God, what do you mean by God? Like some man in a cloud in a religious sense of the word. It's like, no,
Yeah.
I guess maybe some vibration. I mean, that's the only way I can't explain it. And that's the beauty of the mystery of all of this, is we can't explain it. We can't pin it down.
You can't explain life in general. Like, there's nothing to be explained. Like,
Yeah.
you can't put it down. So
Yeah.
just like roll with it.
Yeah.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's such an interesting practice.
So I think it's so subjective for everybody, isn't it, these practices?
Sure.
And
Yeah.
so many of these schools of thought are not necessarily
Oh, I'm not recording.
oh.
Oh no, it died. It's all right. We've got these two angles. It's fine.
I don't feel like they're not necessarily relevant. I don't know what I'm trying to say, but
Yeah.
so not applicable to this day and age. And I feel like so many practices, they're very masculine. I mean, you think of even Ashtanga yoga as designed for young boys. And yeah.
Was it?
Yeah, it was Olive that told me that, actually.
Oh, thanks, Olive.
Yeah, thanks for your wisdoms, wonderful woman.
Was it for the army? Wasn't there something that was designed for the army? I thought that was Ashtanga or Vinyasa.
It might have been Vinyasa.
Yeah.
From what I learned, Ashtanga was designed for teenage boys to sort of harness that kind of testosterone, aggressive energy.
Okay.
And you can really sort of see that in that practice, or feel it in that practice, I
Yeah.
find. And especially when you meet people who are, you know, I'm an Ashtangi. It's like, oh, you can feel that energy in them.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's so interesting. Are there any of the dynamic practices that have a more like feminine approach, feminine energy, or do you think they were all in some way, you know, created for patriarchy, perhaps?
I don't know. I'm sure. I guess it depends on the teacher, and
Yeah.
there may be Vinyasa is. I've never been hugely into Vinyasa. I find most classes are too fast.
Right. Okay.
But that's just me personally. Some people like that. But I just think so much of what we have today has arisen out of a different time where, you know, women are feared or put down, and
Sure.
maybe it's time for something new. But there are lots of new things coming, so that's
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
You know?
What you were saying earlier about you kind of like fallen out of love with India, is that somehow like connected to what you were kind of like just saying about how there's just been shifts and changes? There was something that you specifically said that I can't remember, which I just thought, oh, I wonder if that's connected to how falling out of love with India.
There was many reasons. I think that it's just so rapidly changed post-COVID.
Right.
It's just very different, and that's part of my expectation of past experience, or, you know, holding on to something.
When was the first time you went? You said in your 20s?
About 10 years ago, I
Okay,
think, and
yeah,
then I went
yeah.
every year for 5 years, and then
Okay.
but I find it difficult traveling alone there sometimes. I found it a lot harder this time, being a woman and having been grabbed and prodded and poked, quite
Okay.
literally. And again, there was just some things this time. I had some weird interactions with some Babas in Rajasthan.
What's the Baba?
Babas are the men in orange, like the
Oh, yeah,
wanderers.
okay, yeah.
Some of them are such charlatans, it's untrue. Well, most of them are. And then, well, not most of them, that's an unfair statement, but a lot of them are, especially if you're going to like Pushkar or Rishikesh or somewhere like that, you know. But you do meet a holy man here and there in India, and I've always loved that. But like anywhere, people are exploiting a market trend, you know. So many people go there for yoga and meditation that it's you know, there's a lot of shit going around. So it's that was
sure you have to be really
disheartening.
careful about, you know, where to go. It was like when I went, I literally had no idea. Like I just went. Didn't know what I was going to do. I just took recommendations, and the recommendation of this ashram, it came up. So I went there, and it was like really great. And then, you know, the Tashita kind of meditation came up, and I had recommendations, so I went there, and they were both great. But if I just gone and like wandered into anything, I literally like wouldn't have had a clue. I wouldn't have had a clue. And even the stuff that gets recommended, like everyone's individual, and so it might not suit some people.
Did you enjoy your experiences you had? Were they good recommendations?
Yeah, they were. So I went to Shivananda Ashram. They've got a few. I went to the one in Kerala. Like, it was great. I mean, I went over like a period of a month, and I would kind of like come and go a little bit because of work stuff. And when I went away for a week with a guy I met there to another ashram, and then we were like, oh, let's go back. So we went back, and it was completely different because like the, what do they call it, YTT, the yoga teacher training, they'd all gone. So that kind of energy had gone. And then a lot of people had started to kind of leave because it was hotter, so there wasn't as many people, and the vibes felt very different. Like suddenly the teachers were different, and even that completely changed the atmosphere to it. And I basically left after 2 days because I was like, I don't want to be here now, actually. Like the 3 weeks I had was enough, and actually I'm going to move on. But those 3 weeks that I did have were really great. You know, I mean, you would get up like 6 o'clock meditation, which I didn't always do. I was like, I'm tired, I can't, it's so hot, and I just couldn't do it. And then you do yoga like 4 hours a day, which I really loved, actually. That was where I really started to kind of understand the whole like get on your mat thing. Like I never really understood that. I just like, I don't get it. I don't want to get on the mat, thank you. But I started to kind of understand it, and it became very meditative, and we just did the same practice every day, basically twice a day. But I quite liked that because your body just got into it, and you just started to kind of know what you're doing. And you were able to then, like, I just repeat mantras to myself whilst I was practicing, and it just felt incredible. And then we'd have like teaching in the afternoon if you wanted to go to it, so kind of learnt like yoga philosophy, which is interesting because I don't know anything about yoga really, other than like, you know, Lululemon. Like that's literally it. I'm just like, I don't look good in that stuff. I'm not gonna wear that. I'm just gonna wear a baggy t-shirt and like baggy trousers.
That's so funny though, isn't it? Because that's almost like a joke that yoga in the West has become synonymous with, is that word? Synonymous? Synonymous. It's because with brands like Lululemon, which is outrageous, really.
Completely.
You know?
Completely. Like when you actually go back and look at the origin of it, and then you just, and now in the West people go, oh yeah, Lululemon, or Sweaty Betty or whatever, there are other brands available. Like
it's fucked,
you know. It's crazy. So it was so fascinating to like learn like all of this philosophy and kind of go, oh, this is where it comes from, this is what the situation is. Wow, that's really interesting. Don't know if I agree with all of it, but you know, in general, I just thought, wow, this is really, you know, fascinating. And that's basically your way of life and your philosophy of how you live your life, which I just thought was really interesting. Whereas, you know, in the West, it's like, I'm just gonna go and stretch, and I'm not gonna calm my mind down because I can't, or I don't want to, or, you know, you hear so many people go, oh, I can't meditate, I can't do this, I can't do that, and then you go, most people can't. That's like the whole point. Like, you just do it though. You just choose to do it. And so that was the first time, like on the mat, I kind of went, oh, okay, I'm starting to understand this a bit more. And I was able to you know, practice mantras and just be focused on what I was doing for that time, which was really amazing. Because when I've been to yoga classes before, like, you know, my mind would be all over the place. Or, you know, you're like, oh, I can't really do this move, and you're just so focused on what you can't do. Which is fascinating. And so that was a great experience. And then I went to the meditation retreat, which was incredible, like so incredible. And I got in last minute, like I shouldn't have really even got in. I just got in on the day, and it was just so good. Like I loved all of the teaching. The Buddhist teaching was fascinating. Like I didn't really know anything other than like empty your mind. Like, so I come from like a Christian background, and so all I ever heard was like, oh, Buddhism is just about like emptying your mind, like emptying it and just having nothing there, and that's really bad, and blah, blah, blah. And then when I went and did this, I was like, no, that's not what it's about. Like, it's not about like just emptying the mind. And I mean, yeah, sure, there's like enlightenment and like nirvana and everything, but it's about kind of like sharpening that focus and just being able to kind of almost like be at ease with yourself and with the mind, and know that the mind wants to focus on stuff all the time. We're not necessarily trying to empty it, we're just trying to refocus the mind onto something else, like pinpoint, like you were saying, like just under here. And I just thought it was really fascinating, like how they talk about the clear and clean mind and how that's its origin. It's just become really muddied, and so it's not about like just getting rid of it, like having nothing there, so that your existence isn't. And they do talk a lot about existence and identity, which I can't quite remember everything now, but I just thought it was fascinating. I thought there was a lot more life to it than what I'd maybe heard from other places, and it was just wonderful, basically, to kind of learn about it. And for those 10 days, the rest of India was absolutely crazy, and I don't want to go back. When you're actually out in India itself, it's so eye-opening and so perspective changing, because everyone lives in such a different way to how we live. And it's such a different way, like so much poverty, and just that's just like what they're used to. They just live in these, not everyone, but like people live in these really basic conditions, and they seem okay with it. And it just really made me go, the UK is really not that bad. You know, when you just think, oh, this and that, and then you see this other perspective, how other people live, and you just go, oh, I'm just going to stop talking now. Like, I'm just going to crack on and live, because it's actually, sure, there are bad things happening, but when you kind of, you know, you come from another situation and realise, okay, actually, you know, this is doable, and we have so much. Compared, so much. Like, but the culture itself was just, in the end, I just was like, I just need to go. Because it just became too much for me after like 3 months. But those experiences at the different like locations and like ashrams and meditation centers, which obviously you can't relate to like being in India, they're bubbles. But those experiences were definitely life-changing. For sure.
That's amazing. Good recommendations.
Exactly. Really good recommendations.
Oh no, and India is wonderful. It's definitely, even when I've had like experiences with it, retrospectively then after the dust has settled, I go, oh wow, that was a powerful teacher. It's always such a powerful teacher. I find, and I am very grateful to all it has given to me over the years. I'm very grateful. But it is a bewildering place, and the culture and traditions are bewildering also, and you can really feel that in Hinduism, and you know, all these gods and goddesses, and you know, if you go to a Hindu holy place, how noisy it is, and it's like explosions, and then you're in McLeod Ganj or Dharamkot, and it's that kind of, you can feel the Buddhism, that grounded, quiet, nice. It's and that's what I always think. It's like these different cultural representations or different cultural stories, all trying to shoot their arrows at the mystery that no one really knows about. And it's, you know, it's just all these beautiful expressions of, you know, human beings through different cultural perception going, this is what we think it is.
That's what I really liked about it, actually, is that in terms of everyone that I met, like they all just seemed really open to just whatever.
Yeah.
You know, because there's so many different religions and philosophies within their country. I mean, I'm sure there maybe is hostility and fighting. I don't really know, but like, everyone I met just seemed very like, okay, that's what you practice. Like even at the ashram and everything, and learning about Buddhism, there was never any pushiness there's never any pushiness of like what they wanted. You know, you have to do this, you have to do that, you have to be a certain way. It was just like, this is our way of life.
Yeah.
That's how it's viewed. It's like a way of life.
Yeah.
And then everyone has their own little way of life that kind of somehow all interconnects, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
In a country that's so big.
Good old India. It's beautiful.
Yeah. So you're gonna
I'm
go off
sweating.
somewhere else for meditation stuff, or you don't know yet?
I don't know. I might. I've been looking at Vipassana dates for the UK. I might just go do
You're
another
a bit
Vipassana.
hooked.
Yes and no. There's a lot I don't like about it.
Okay.
But also it's nice for 10 days to go, and I mean, you're not supposed to take pen and paper in with you, but I did.
Really?
Like, no, I used to do nothing.
Okay.
But this time I did sneak in a pad and pen, and that was like invaluable. I write, so for me to have that time of no input and to practice meditation for that long throughout a day, and it just comes pouring out.
Yeah, because I found that I just journaled so
Yeah.
much, but why aren't you allowed to do that there?
Because you're just to be with the self. There's to be nothing else, you know.
Okay.
And you fast after 11:30 in the morning. I don't know if I said that. So
Till
until 6:30 the next morning. So you have breakfast at 6:30.
every day?
Yeah, lunch at 11:30. If you're a new student, then you can have a dinner. But if you're an old student, lunch at 11:30, and then that's it.
I found the fasting really helpful. We did like a day where we fasted,
Yeah.
and it definitely changes.
Yeah.
Like
big time.
it really, I don't know what do you think it does? Like, how do you think that helps?
Well, my probably very basic understanding is that the process of digestion is a lot. It's quite intensive for the body to be digesting. A lot of the times, a lot of us eat shit as well, you know. I eat pretty well for the most part, but I can definitely then feel a difference in digestion if I've had a lot of carbs and sugar, you know, and versus if I'm eating mostly plant-based. So it's just allowing you to have that clear channel again, that clear vessel. You've not got all your energy, you know, used up in the process of digestion, and it's, you know, and there's a lot of practices there and religions and traditions that have fasting as quite a big, pillar. And you're not supposed to eat before your yoga practice in the morning, things like that, or your meditation practice. It's that lightness of being.
Yeah, we'd have like maybe a tea, like just something like that, and then you'd go to the like 6:30 practice or something, and then you'd have breakfast after that.
Yeah.
It's so helpful. Like like you say, there's a lot of religions that do fasting. But I kind of liked how, like, the Buddhist perspective of it with meditation, you know, because I obviously, like, coming from a Christian background, I always understood fasting as it was almost like this kind of, like, you were trying to get something.
Yeah.
Like, you're trying to get some kind of answer. Like, you're going to fast before the Lord, or you're going to get some kind of answer about something. This is not that. It's just like, oh, we're just going to fast because it's better for the body. And then you're going to be able to meditate, you know, easier or better or more efficiently, or you'll be more clear.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't mean you're going to have these, like, amazing revelations.
Yeah.
But that's just simply it. That's why we do this, you know. There's no kind of agenda around it in some ways.
Yeah.
Which I really liked.
Yeah.
I really liked it.
Do like Buddhism a lot. It's very interesting. I actually went to the Dalai Lama's temple for that talk he gave in when he snogged that boy pretty inappropriately.
Oh yeah, I was in India at that time. You were there.
I went on the first day, and it must have happened another day because I didn't see that, and that would have stuck out to me. But I don't like the Dalai Lama. I haven't done for years. for many reasons. He was a CIA asset. He's been involved with lots of dodgy people, and I think to be the leader of such a huge and powerful institution, your waters are going to be muddy. It's just the way of the world, unfortunately. But I thought it's 10 rupees, which is what, about 10p.
Yeah.
So I was like, I'll go. And I didn't get one of the things, so I couldn't hear what he was saying anyway, but it was quite nice hearing the Tibetan language, and a little boy monk fell asleep on me, like a tiny little monk, which is cute, but also makes me sad in other ways. I think there's a lot of complexity to that, you know, same as Catholicism. And that's one thing when I stayed at Sam Ling in Scotland, I loved it. I was in the temple, you know, however many times a day, and I was just there with the nuns and the monks. There was no one else there for a few days, and they do the Tara chants and Amitabha, and it's all, you know, the bowls and the gongs, and it's very emotive, and I liked it a lot. But I remember looking around this temple going, there's bloody lot of gold here, you know, so much gold, and it's just it's so opulent, and that to me is kind of, I find it very distasteful. Again, I'm just like, why do you need so much gold?
Yeah, I understand. From what I kind of understand in that kind of way, it's a lot about worship and offerings, isn't it? And I'm not saying that's okay, but that's kind of their perspective of like giving to their deity.
Yeah.
And like, even, you know, I'd go to, I think it was the Dalai Lama temple actually, but there were people would take stuff. They leave the randomest stuff. They leave like food, like boxes of like Pop-Tarts or something, and like cereal, and I was like, okay, sure, maybe that's what they like, but
Maybe that's what Tara likes.
yeah, I was like, I don't know, but I understand like the distaste in it, because you just kind of think there's so much property and there's so much going on, like you could literally sell that,
And it's so external.
and help so many people, which is kind of what you're about. But there's that worship and offering aspect to it. So, and at the end of the day, religion is people. Do you know, people are like, I don't like religion. It's like, you mean that you don't like people?
Yeah.
Because people created it.
Yeah.
So, you know, and that's why there's still power and money and offerings and stuff like that involved, because that's what we as people like.
People are corruptible, and just so much of it. And that was another thing that really turned me off India this time, was that not turn me off India necessarily, but certain things about it is this externalization of these practices, you know, and these outward displays, and hearing this bell and spin this thing this way, or, you know, all these different things. So it just feels like gatekeepers, different gatekeepers, where actually everyone has that access in their own self, you know, and there's different ways. And I was at a temple in Rishikesh this time. I only went to Rishikesh to meet a friend. I don't particularly like Rishikesh, if I'm honest. And there was a temple I used to walk past every day to when I was getting my coffee. And every day the Baba was like, come in, and every day I was like, nope, not a chance. This is my temple. I'm on the move temple. I don't need to come in your temple and ring a bell. But for whatever reason, on the last day, I went in with the Baba, and he's like, come up. We go up this flight of stairs, and he walks around this like tower thing and rings all these bells, you know. It feels kind of childlike, like child playing with toys sort of thing to me. And then he takes me to this room and he sits me down. And there was this big beautiful Durga statue in there, which was a vibe. I like Durga a lot. But he slid this book across the table at me, and it was a donation book. He was like, you do realise like 20 of us live here? How much are you going to give us? And I kind of lost it with interactions like that in India at that point. And I did have not my finest moment. I went, it's not my fucking problem 20 of you live here, you know, is this a temple or is this a business? And I think I had 200 rupees in my top pocket, and I just slammed it down on the table and walked out. And he was like, no, please come back. I was like, no, I've really had enough of this. That when they see you're a Westerner or foreign or whatever, and it's that they just want to extort money out of you a lot of the time. They're not interested in you coming into that temple or that place to practice or to honor the deities or do anything. They want your money, and that is it. And that's became so I just couldn't stomach it this time, because I am generous and I'll always give. I always do. But it's when it's the immediate expectation of your presence in that place of, right, okay. I just think, bollocks, this nothing to do with spirituality, you know, extorting money out of people. And I did not put guns to your head and make you live at this temple. Why is it my responsibility, you know? It may sound awful, but I mean, I think there had been so many instances like that this time, where I just felt so...
You feel like that's gotten worse over the last 10 years?
Yeah, big time. And I reckon probably social media has got a lot to do with it, because I think that breeds a lot of contempt in different ways, and also creates these, you know, that lack, especially Instagram, things like that, and you're looking at these filtered lives. Especially people in India or in Asia that live in a very different environment, that can now observe these lifestyles of the West that are so different. I don't know, I mean, I found it when I worked in the Philippines. A lot of the villages there, I had this conversation with a woman who employed me. She was an American lady, but she had said she'd noticed as they'd got smartphones and social media, they were no longer sending the money to their family or investing it in the property and the farmland. They wanted a new hat, they wanted a new watch, they wanted a new motorbike, they wanted these material things. And she said it was so distinct, the change from no social media to social media. All of a sudden this materialism is thrusting in their face.
And that's probably been like one of the biggest changes in the last 10 years. I mean, obviously social media came out before then, but it's just grown
massively. And especially in India, Nepal, you know, there was, it was probably when I was there maybe 8 years ago, or maybe, about 8 years ago. That was when I felt this real, it was like this change from the year previously to people having phones. You know, it was very, and I'd done a trek in the Himalayas. I'd done one this time, but 8 years ago also, and I remember that being a shock to see some of the villages up in the Annapurna region, and there were kids playing on phones. Whereas now, this time, trekking to Everest Base Camp, phones everywhere, you get Wi-Fi all the way up and down the trail, you know.
I did hear that in different places I went. Some of the locals hated it, or like Airbnb people wouldn't have Wi-Fi because it's just everywhere now, like all the way up into the Himalayas, and so we don't want it. We just don't want it here. It just is.
It is what it is. I think we just got one angle going.
Whoops! Oh, it's just started again.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Power of the mind.
Wow.
Is that Alex's old rig?
Yeah.
I thought I recognised that.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, I'm going to have to hit the road soon. Do we have
that's
any?
fine.
Oh, yeah, Wonder Woman. I found her on the floor by my car. I came out from a restaurant and she was on the floor. And I thought, that's a sign for me to pick up Wonder Woman and put her in my car. Yeah. So, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
What a story.
Yeah.
About kind of your life and meditation. It's very interesting. I'm going to try that, like spinal.
Yeah.
Lying down and focusing on the spine and the energy down the spine.
It's powerful. That's where God or Jah or Brahma or whatever word, universal consciousness, that's where it speaks to you.
Yeah.
That's where it...
Well, the spine is so important in so many ways.
Yeah.
It's like the center of everything. Like, you know, for your posture, for your energy, for your nervous system. Like, that's why, you know, that's why everything in that way kind of all interconnects. That's why the nervous system's there. That's why the energy point's there. Of course, that's where they would be. That's where the nervous system sits. You know?
Yeah.
It's just like that is the center. You know, coming from a movement perspective, it's always like, just keep moving your spine.
Yeah.
Just keep moving your spine as much as you can.
Yeah.
Because without that, you just robot.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that.
Yeah, spine, center of the universe, spine. I'll send you some Paramansa Yogananda little clips if you're interested, because he's very powerful teacher.
Okay.
But he might not be to you. Again,
I mean,
it's
I'll
so
listen.
subjective, isn't
I'll
it?
listen.
So,
yeah.
But for me, he cuts through the bullshit and he's right to the point.
Yeah.
Especially in terms of what this waking reality is. The way he describes it best sums it up for me. you know, that this is all just light and shadows of pure consciousness. Let God call it what you want, and we're here to learn and to grow, and that's it.
Great.
Yeah.
Send away.
Yeah.
I want to listen to that. Amazing.
Oh, any more points for the road?
It's just really hot.
It's just really
It's really
hot.
so hot in this car.
It is.
Conversation was a great idea, but
We've also had a sauna, and saunas are good for you.
yeah, look at that. Oh, I don't know. Just figured we may as well record it, right?
Yeah.
For the YouTube.
For the YouTube.
For my mum. YouTube.
For my mum. Did you just say?
No, I feel like my mum.
Oh.
When people say their YouTube or their Instagram.
Oh. Well, actually, we discussed that a lot of people online are dry and boring, so we thought we'd give it a go because
We thought we'd also be trying. But
no, we're the opposite of that. We're moist and enjoyable. Okay.
no, that's the wrong word.
That's exactly what I was going for.
Yeah, nailed it. Absolutely nailed it.
Right, peace out, YouTubers. If anyone's watched this, we appreciate you. No, Alex, we definitely know you've
Alex,
watched
you
this.
watched
So
That's one person.
love you. Bye.
I'm starting a Patreon account, so for those of you interested in uninterrupted videos, that's where you want to be. Not only will you get the YouTube videos completely uninterrupted, no ads, but you will also get exclusive videos. So things that I'm learning right now, you're going to get immediately before YouTube gets. You'll be getting videos on all about breathwork, meditation, posture, nutrition, how breathing impacts all of those different parts of our life. I'll be giving you tips and hints on how to bring breathwork into your daily life, how to use it and when, and lots more. So stay tuned, it'll be coming in about a month or so.